Hey, Angel. All righty. We should be on. I usually don't put on both because it's like double dipping, get echoes and stuff that's in there. Well, welcome everybody. This is John Robinson, and this is another episode of DP1G, which is different people, different perspectives, one goal. Today, what we're going to be talking about, or the discussion today, is going to be on the question: Are community assistance programs and resources, are they really beneficial? Are they helping people? Are they enabling people? And tonight we have a special guest, which Kim Shaw, an executive director of Chosen Resource Center, Mr. Gray, who's also an Army veteran, sir. As a matter of fact,
Sir.
I'm at Sergeant Major, correct? Command Sergeant Major.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, there, man. I'll
All
address you
right,
appropriately, sir.
Who?
If you guys would like to introduce yourself, we'll get started.
Okay, I'm Mr. Gray, James Gray. I'm the founder of Chosen Resource Ministry. Of course, a 33-year Army vet, currently working for the Correctional Center, and just here to talk about veterans and homeless and the people that are coming out of incarceration, getting the resources and things they need to accomplish what they need to do to carry on in life.
It's right in there with our Project Hope.
All right.
Right. Hey, and my name is Winfred Lee, and I'm currently general sales manager for Group One Toyota in Columbus, Georgia. I've been in the industry for years. Got a degree from Western Carolina, master's in education and psychology, as well as an undergrad degree in business administration. And then my purpose is to help cultivate clarity, growth, and transformation, guiding others towards a life of discipline, freedom, and true personal liberation. So I'm happy to be here tonight and ready to get going.
All right. And of course, we got Mrs. Shaw. We can't hear you, Kim.
You're on mute.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kim Shaw. I am the Director of Operations for Chosen Resource Center, along with Mr. James Gray, our founder. In my real lifetime, I am a regional recruiter for no other than the Department of Adult Correction. And in my spare time, I enjoy motorcycling and a little bit of everything else. So I'm a busy lady, but I enjoy conversating about different social issues. So that's why I'm on the team right now. So thank you so much, Mr. Robinson, for having us.
Well, Kim, I didn't know you were in a motorcycle gang.
Look, don't get it twisted. Keep that out down. Keep it on the down.
And Miss Angel Fuller. Angel, how you doing, ma'am? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening. I think my tech might like me today. I am Angel Fuller. I am North Carolina Peer Support. I am licensed clinical social work associate, and I'm just here because I love the social work perspective on all things community issues.
All right, to keep things in perspective, the TGN's one goal, when we say different people, different perspectives, one goal, the one goal is to strengthen the self-efficacy of all our members. And we facilitate the growth of others through the dialogue, these dialogues that we have, and sharing empowering, beneficial content. As saying, tonight what we're talking about is community programs. Are they really, really helping, or are they enabling? Now, no organization is under attack here. I'm going to start that off to the beginning. My question in this is to say, hey, as we're helping each other get better, are we doing more harm than good by taking away, I wouldn't even say taking away, or deteriorating the self-efficacy of some of our citizens by readily being there to help them in such a way that they're not learning from their situations and they're just repeating? It's a cycle that just keep repeating. As a matter of fact, it's something that Kim brought up was about all the organizations that are out there that duplicate services, and we have different people going to these different points for services. Are we enabling these people? I mean, I'll shoot that question first to you, Mr. Gray.
I think to certain extent, some, but if we're using the resources the right way, I think we can better help them. There are a lot of different agencies and resources out there. Uh, but you're right, if we're not first helping them get on their feet physically, but along with that, helping them to be able to help themselves later on down the road is what the piece that we're missing. If we can link those services together, um, because it's continuing need, whether it's his physical need, spiritual need, social need, they all come into play. And by working the whole person, we're able to accomplish what I think we're trying to get to is get them back on their feet so they can move on their own.
Now, one of the biggest things that gets me is that in working with these organizations, because I'm planning to come by and visit you guys and see what we can do together. What can I do? I want to do my part.
Yes.
A lot of these organizations, the first thing they ask me, not even asking me, what can you bring to the party? What can you do? They ask me, where do you get your funding? That is like, to me, becomes the subject of discussion where it's about funding. So the organizations, do they exist to actually help people? Do they exist to help themselves? And are they causing more harm than good? Are some of them out there causing more harm than good? I won't leave you to answer that question by yourself. So I'll ask somebody else.
Yeah.
You go ahead, and I don't want no one's being put on the spot. What is your thought process, Winfrey? Because we discuss these things all the time.
Okay.
Oh yeah, well, Johnny, it's simply put. I mean, a lot of these organizations are great in and of itself that help these people to get off their feet. It's just what we do when the people come to us, and going to a lot of these functions and events, man. All we want to do is just hand out stuff, but we don't want to hand out education. We don't want to hand out a roadmap to lead them to success. How's the old saying? You can teach a man the fish, or you can give a man a fish. He can last for a day, but then you teach him how to fish, can last for a lifetime. I think that art of that saying has long gone past, because sometimes are the groups and organizations that helping these guys, are they trying to enable themselves, or are they trying to help the people as a whole? So we have to look at the whole totality of it all. What is the organization that's bringing the needs, the goods, and everything that needs to help these people? What are they doing in order to try to educate these people and move these people forward, so that way they can take what we give them and take that and move it forward and grow with that.
Yes.
And your thought process on that, Kim?
I had to come off mute. So you have to look at the word nonprofit and what it is. It means no profit for that particular organization. We're working off of good faith. And so in due time, you can pour out all these resources and pull out all of these services. But first, you definitely have to say, can I keep doing this over and over without being at some point compensated for my time and my offerings, right? What I'm seeing in the nonprofit grant is, as what Mr. Lee has said, it's more geared towards educational grants now for operations for nonprofits to put forth. And so that can be ranging from our youth department. It could be ranged for veterans, individuals, families, low income. Those things are being more looked at because, of course, we have to make sure that we're able to provide these services on a regular rolling basis. But it does come down to a money crunching thing. Where does the funding come from? And you have to make sure that you're recording these services as accurate as possible. So whenever you're telling your story or putting that proposal together, you have a good offering to say, okay, yes, I need this money so I can continue doing what I'm doing. So at the end of the day, I don't believe it's enabling them, but definitely it could possibly enable an organization if they do not have the right vision and also the right mission. And it takes community partnerships to make sure that cohesion is together so no one falls apart. So you kind of have to have, as I said, many hands make light work, right? So you have to really look at it from that perspective as well.
And your thought process on that question, Ms. Fuller?
Well, I guess for me, if I'm looking at it from the recipient perspective, of does it enable the individual? I would say it certainly has the ability to do so when one knows that they can go to different locations on a rolling basis, because you know everybody has a set of requirements and how often you can visit said location, what services you may receive, and such like that. So if they have mapped this out, which individuals who have a capacity for what they want, right, are going to figure out the process on where they need to be and when to get their needs met, doing the least amount of work, right? This is intellectual property work they're having to do in order to map it out appropriately. But outside of that, we're not looking for gainful employment. Now, from the peer support perspective, because I was a peer support before anything else, is I always taught, what can I teach you to be self-sufficient and independent? Because my time with you is limited. I might get 5 hours with you for the next 90 days, but after that, your Medicaid says, nope, nope, we need to decrease because we're supposed to be proving self-efficacy. And so in teaching my peers, you know, how to utilize the systems that they need for a short period of time while they do get established and do get on their feet was my number one goal and objective. So long story short, yes, I do believe that duplicate services can, for the recipient, cause some redundancy and some dependency. Yes.
Now, I understand when it says cause some dependency and it's a redundancy. What I'd like to know, this is a question for you, Mr. Gray. In your organization, what are you guys doing to make sure, are you holding your participants accountable? Is there a level of where we said, hey, let us test and see whatever we're doing, are we being effective?
Yes, I think it is. When we're taking on, our goal is to not create another resource, but to bring the resources that are out there to the individual, and help him sit down and map out a roadmap of how to get back into society on his feet on his own. For example, yes, we're going to show him how to get food, but then we're going to sit him down and figure out what is the root of his problem. What does he need to get him back on his feet? Because it's obvious if he's out there, it's not just food. Or if one is he's repeating every cycle, then we know the system is not working. We shouldn't see the same individuals over and over again at the food line. You know, that means he's not meeting the goal of getting back on his feet. So we need to figure out why that's not happening. And I think we do that by sitting down with him, counseling, and finding out, hey, what's going on with your home life? What's happening with your job? Helping them research, find a job. Because a lot of times, a lot of them, I think it comes down to, do they know where these resources are? And if you give them the resource, do they know how to use them? So, and it's teaching them that. For example, a lot of times you can, I've seen places that give out cell phones, but you get them into individuals that don't know how to use them. So how is he going to figure out how to find a job if he don't know how to navigate the phone? You know, he's just got a phone, you know. Or you go in a place today and they hand them a website and say, go to a website. Well, I don't have a phone. I don't have a computer. So now I'm stuck. And now Children Resource Center, we want to be able to sit them down and walk them through those things and make sure they're hitting all the gates they need to hit to get back on their feet. Not create another resource, because it's hundreds of those, like, you know, they're already out there, showing them how to use them and access them effectively to get them back on their feet.
Actually, I want to put no organization in a defensive mode. I just want to ask questions, open up so we can get to that one goal, which is, hey, there should be a significant amount of improvement in these areas.
Yes.
For instance, in the homelessness, or better yet, let me talk about reentry. All right, I've seen so many people getting into reentry right now that it's almost competition. There is competition in the reentry nonprofit world. How can that be? It's nonprofit, which, going back to what Kim says, I understand that you're not generating a profit for members or anything like that, but you have to be able to sustain yourself. Are these organizations out there doing themselves to ingratiate themselves, to keep themselves alive? Because the narrative now is kind of like, come to us, we will give you this, we'll give you this. Like you said, a cell phone, we'll go to so-and-so, they'll give you a cell phone. It's a big difference when you say you give me a cell phone to help me find a job. I ain't trying to do all that. I'm trying to chat with my friend. So how do we as people hold these people self-accountable, not these people, just each other self-accountable, these organizations?
Yeah, John, it's simply put, we as an organization, we have to come together as a collective, as a collaborative to hold these people accountable. When you got different organizations, different nonprofits doing the same body of work, man, it's tough because now you competing against the same organization that's trying to do the same thing you're doing instead of really trying to help these people. So we giving these people all kind of avenues, resources to go from place to place to place to place. For example, we had a backpack giveaway. So my thought was, we're a big dealership. We're in a community of over 200,000 people, the second biggest city in Georgia. And I say, hey, you know what? I can grab all these local nonprofits, bring everybody together, have everybody meet at one place, and give away a lot of bags. And trying to reach out to these nonprofits. There were some nonprofits giving out 20 bags. I said, well, hell, come join us and we'll give out 1,000 bags. But that's simply wasn't the case. We're trying to corral everybody together for one common goal, for one experience, and that's to help the people that we're trying to help and move it forward and do it on a collective basis. And so that way I have one entity having out bags, one entity having out books, one handing out Bibles, one doing this. So everybody in one place, one time, doing the same thing, helping these organizations and moving from step to step to step instead of competing with everybody else trying to do the same thing. So that's my thoughts.
Now, what I've seen, I'm going to go by witness because I'm going to be devil's advocate because I'm really good at that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What I've seen is these organizations, not these organizations, but certain organizations that clearly exist as a business. It is a way to generate income for whoever the person is in a nice way. I'm doing stuff for charity, but I'm generating income. So I need these grants. I need these programs. So what I need is attendance. What I need is people. So what we do is we start looking for these people. And then the competition comes in because what we do, we don't ask for funding or anything like that. When they come up and ask, like, well, who's funding you? We don't ask for funding. We believe in the whole American dream type joint. But There's organizations out there that go, well, hey, if you are going to compete for funding with me, you are my enemy. You are my enemy. And I think that in itself is where we're dropping the ball because there is no accountability. I think Kim was going back to this when she was saying that the grants are now getting more towards educational programs. Is that what you're leaning towards, Kim?
Yeah, what I'm seeing now there's a need for whatever programs or services that you're providing to the general public. However, I think government entities, and I'm gonna say that, let me put this disclosure out. This does not concern anything to my current employer. Let me put that disclaimer out. There are, let's just say, the powers that be that governs the laws, the policies, and things of that nature that is requiring us more to look at it more from an educational standpoint, right? And they don't want anybody just to be sitting down, just oh, okay, let me go over to this food bank and see how I can get it over, for this month and not even have to, spend any money. Is that smart? One side of me is saying yes, but the other part is saying, well, there are more needs for other people that really do need it. Are you really being greedy at this point? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's based upon the person in themselves to know what is good and what is bad, what can help others. I'm a believer in helping those that can't help themselves. Let me say that again. A believer that can help them, can help others as well. But for the most part, I think everyone deserves a fighting chance in furthering their education, furthering their own professional and personal development, whether it's from a financial standpoint, whether it's from a spiritual standpoint, or what have you. Those things have to be evident for you to have a longevity type of lifestyle, so to speak. So, in my opinion, I just feel like education is a very big key component in fixing things that is wrong, so to speak. When you learn from a mistake, it kind of sticks with you like, yeah, I don't want to make that mistake anymore. So just re-educating yourself, however many times it takes you to do that, as long as you get the end result and the result that you need, which is a positive one, I think we're doing a great job doing that. So, yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna take away from everybody. Social programs, again, gonna be the devil's advocate because that's what I do best, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting my needs met. You are fulfilling my needs. I don't see any reason, the incentive to get up there and really inconvenience myself and go any further because my basic needs are being met.
But I think it goes a little bit further than that. From a post-educational standpoint, right? You have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Is
That's my
that all
thing.
they really, Maslow hierarchy of needs, is that all that they want to make sure that they have is their basic needs? Well, what about the esteem? What about the self-love? What about the self-actualization for you to reach your full potential? And I do believe, when you start thinking about that, that's coming from a spiritual, if that person is spiritual. And maybe Mr. Gray can kind of shine a little bit light on that, reaching your full potential and what your creator wanted you to be, right? So I take that to heart in that particular theory, so to speak, that you, even though my basic needs are met, there are other things that I have to feel fulfillment with and for me to feel whole. So, like I said, that's just me. I can't speak for others, but at the same time, that's one of the theories that I carry with me to make sure that someone is reaching their full capacity without, lacking in any type of area in that particular theory. So, yeah. It's kind of hard. Some people like to be needy, and and I don't know why. I would love for them to think for themselves, be creative thinkers, be able to make executive decisions on their own without any help. But when you really look at it, everybody does. Everybody needs help. So I just think we're just at different levels, and sometimes people can be very redundant and what Angel has said, maybe just taking advantage of those things. And then we have to be the ones to hold that person accountable and say, hey, you've been here 2 or 3 times. What's up? Did you not learn from this particular situation? What's going on? And so like I said, not everybody solves problems the same way. It may take 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but we definitely have to be stewards of the funding, the services, and making sure that we're holding that other person accountable as well for making executive decisions that is good and not bad, and not being a repeat offender, so to speak, or a shared customer across all of these nonprofits or organizations that we're providing services. So, like I said, it goes back to that educational component, finding out where we need to improve upon those things, and just work it, make it work, and finding the additional resources for it to actually stick. And that could be hard. It's better said than to be done, right? So it
Yeah.
just really depends upon that particular individual.
Yeah, because you talk about sustainability when we bring Maslow in and we talk about the basic survival needs, the physiological needs, the water, the food, the shelter, and then you get somebody who's homeless who doesn't have water, food, or shelter, and then we provide them with water, food, and shelter, and then the next day comes, okay, so those basic needs are gone. It was yesterday, so now I got to go somewhere else so I can get water, food, or shelter. So I'm still in that merry-go-round of trying to fulfill that first
Exactly.
basic need. And so how do I get, and this is a question for anybody, that how do we get that person from that first point of those very basic essential needs into the next step to where we can sustain them getting that food, water, shelter, night in and night out. So now they can concentrate on moving to the next level and working on self-esteem and social needs and so forth and so on.
So
I
my
think
thing
when you
is,
say that, it's like you're saying, is it's about education. Along with providing those basic needs, then we have to take the responsibility as nonprofit organizations of educating them along with that, so they know how to maintain those needs. A lot of times you talk about those social needs, you're right, we just hand it to them, and that keeps them for a day. But along with that, they need education on how to sustain those needs with that. And I think what could help is it be some requirement somewhere that they have to take that education along with taking those free things that we just, instead of just handing them over, um, it's a part of that responsibility that, hey, you're going to go through this class because you seem to have a problem with not knowing how to balance your money. Hey, you're going to go to accounting class. Hey, you're going to go to a health class. You seem to have a problem in this area, along with handing those needs over, making them accountable and not making it so easy for them to just walk in there and you hand over those resources. Because, and then I think it's a balance of us working together as nonprofit organizations saying, hey, I'm gonna hold to this standard. And yeah, you're right, when you're talking about grants and stuff, a lot of that is based off the number of people I can keep providing for, maintaining through. So instead of helping them out of that cycle, I'm keeping them in that cycle to keep my funding up. So that's another thing we have to be mindful of, that, hey, have standards on, hey, yeah, we're going to help you with these resources, but these are going to be the requirements along with that you take this educational training, that you go to this job placement class so that you can go to work and maintain it yourself along with it.
That
Maybe give.
that was refreshing, because most people stick to the narrative or whatever their mission is in order to go ahead and maintain their funding.
Their funding.
Just like you said, hey, if there's not a need for me, then I'm not there. So what I'm going to do, I am not going to put myself outside of a job. So I'm going to tell you how much more I need. I need more money so I can do X. And I don't want to get into the funding part. What I want to get into is the accountability part, like you're saying. At what point do you go ahead and institute some type of triage system, or come in and says, look, this person, we got to go to this person. This person needs the help. Because what I found out in my little short time in trying to help people, right, is that there are people out there that's what they actually bet on. That your kindness of your heart is what keeps me going. And since you need to make sure I have as well. That is your responsibility to make sure that I have. And you've made that commitment. So where is it? Give it to me. What do we do to go ahead and institute that self-accountability? When do we say, nah, you're gonna have to stop crawling and learn how to walk, sir?
Simply put, John, it's just simple. Put the education first, making them come in, do the education, do the work, and then as a reward, I'm going to give you food, water, and shelter. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So I got to pass the class.
That's right. You got to
right. Right. That's right.
And show us your level of accountability and responsibility, and then we provide the necessary resources for you to move.
Whoa. There's a whole different ball game here. No one told me I had to do it. You said you was going to help. Now you got requirements.
That's right.
Requirements in order for me to help you. So now the real ones will come. The real ones will come. The ones that just going from source to source to source will lay back and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to put the work in because I don't need it that bad. Until actually I needed that bad, and I need to put the work in. But we need to see some work being put in so that way that they take ownership into what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve.
That's right.
Well, the fact that you're saying that's right, I want to work with you so bad. Mr. Gray, Kim was telling me I want to work with you so bad because I want to be a member of a team of someone that says, hey, I really care about you bettering yourself, not my funding. And working in the system, how do we call that, Kim? What are we talking about? The powers that be?
The powers that be, yes.
The powers that be, I didn't sit well with them because the powers that be were saying, hey, look, make sure our requirements are met. Numbers, participation. If you don't have enough people passing that class that Winfred just talked about, which I think is great, but we have to have X amount of people pass. So the next thing you know, it's an open book test. Next thing you know, it's multiple choice. Next thing you know, it's it's like everyone passes because we need the numbers. So this is what I'm talking about enabling. You know, are we really making things better? Are we showing people how to run a hustle in order to get their needs met so they never find that self-actualization or rise to that level as far as Maslow's needs, because my needs are being met. I've got cell phone, I've got social media, I've got all this stuff, and I got a full belly. And you want me to take a test? Nah, I don't think so. So what do we do? What I'm asking is, how do you hold people accountable like that and still maintain the requirements or the mission statement of your organization? You see what I'm saying?
I think a lot of them you'll find, and what I find is that it ain't about a test. It's about taking their time to come in and listen and get the education. Because the ones that are serious normally will come in and take the class, but the ones that ain't, they won't even come to the class, you know.
But I still need to eat. I still need to eat, Mr. Gray.
You still need to eat, but you, like he said, once you get to that point, you'll come to the class. But sometimes it takes them to get to that point. And a lot of times you'll find that when you sit down and give them education, a lot of them have a way out on their own. They don't need your resources, but they're just trying to get them because you're handing them out and they're free, you know. But you have to be able to weed those out, and that's going to be through counseling and educating and knowing them. One thing I've seen before was, take example, the homeless person on the side of the street that's asking for change when you go past. Well, most people that come past them, they hand them change and keep going. But have you ever stopped and said, hey, let me talk to you for a minute? Let me sit down. I've ministered to those people and said, hey, okay, I'll buy you a meal, but I need you to come over and sit down and talk to me. I've literally had some tell me, no, I don't have time. But he's supposed to be homeless on the street. The ones that are really hungry will take that time to come over there and let you conversate with them, you know, because they really have a need, per se. Versus the ones on there, they thinking, hey, I'm automatically gonna get a handout, because that's what most people do. We throw hands out for them, throw money at them, and some of them are making a lot of money.
This is how I make my money. This is how I get my grants. This is how I get my stuff. This is how I get my donations. You know what I'm saying? I need you to stay in this situation. So I'm going to make that test easy. I mean, what you're saying is great when it comes down to accountability. Yeah, I said this the last time, is like, I like to surround myself around certain people, and I feel like I'm surrounded about those people again. You know, and what we're talking about is those people outside, those ones that take advantage of the situation and go, hey, the criteria that you have for me is too much, and you're not making my needs. I have to eat. So somewhere, I had a buddy of mine says, America's the only place that someone else will tell someone else that you need to do something for them. You know, so you're gonna have to feed me anyway. Reduce the whatever that test. You're gonna have to reduce your requirements in order to meet the needs of the people. Are you willing to do that? I'm not asking you to answer. I'm throwing that out there to the nonprofit world, because no one needs to be on the defense on this. Because first of all, thank you for doing the things you do out of the kindness of your heart. You know, the fact that you're attached to Kim Shaw, that says everything right there. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get with your organization, but what happens? I'm putting this out there for everyone else, because I believe that the one goal is for everyone to grow, to get to that area where they can sustain themselves. I believe also that America has come to a point to where we've found it's profitable to sell people's plight. It's profitable to help the homeless. You know, I'm not going to get into the dollars, because people should get paid for putting their hard work out there. What I'm getting at is the organizations that exist in the duplicity on all these ones that are reproduced that are not doing their jobs. They're actually causing more harm than good. And I believe there's more of them than they are the ones that are doing good. What do we do in that situation? How do we hold these organizations accountable for doing what they say they're going to do?
I think the clients is going to be your mouth, your source to find out if they are doing what they're actually doing. The thing that I feel like the customer has power to either make you or break you. And so once that narrative does come out and say, well, oh, ABC organization didn't do a damn thing for me, but I went over here to, wherever, and I got the services that I need without question, right? I do believe some people do put nonprofits together just for whatever purpose, for tax write-offs, or maybe it's in their heart or it's in their season to do those things, right? But it's not necessarily meant for them to do it for a longevity period of time. If you want to be reputable and you really have a mission and a goal to help others, it's going to go a long way. We have organizations like, speaking of American Red Cross, United Way, all of these people are factual and reputable organizations who are doing what is supposed to be done. Goodwill, Salvation Army, they are name brands that everybody's talking about, and that they are doing good for the community. But it only takes one client to say they didn't do jack for me, and that's it. They're going to put it on social media. If they do have a cell phone in this case, they may go to the library or whatever the case may be, or they just tell John Brown and say, you know what, I went down here and they didn't do a damn thing for me. And then that's all it takes for you to be ruined, right? When it comes down to the funding, you putting these things together, the proposals together, and you do not have positive outcomes, once again, that becomes the enabling part as well. That's why you don't get the funding, because there's more, oh, yeah, you provided services. Well, were there any positive success stories from that? And I think sometimes when you're looking at the foundations who are giving these grants, that's what they're looking at, positive results, not how many services. You can serve 50 people, but did it make a true impact? Did it solve this social issue that we worried about? So they're looking at those outcomes versus the services of how many you did. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of what you've done. You know what I'm saying? The quality of that person being returned back to restoration, or being renewed, or whatever the case may be. Finding that self-sufficiency, as Ms. Angela was talking about, making them empowering them. That's what I want to hear. If I was the person who was giving some money, let me see your damn success stories. Because if all you're doing is services and providing and just, thinking this is going to be an uptick for me to give you this grant, damn you at this point. No, I can do that by myself. You know what I'm saying?
I can see right now, I don't need you looking at my proposal, because I'm trying to make some money and you up in here wanting results.
But I'm keeping it real. These are what the grant folks are looking at. Like,
are they looking at that? Are they looking at that though, Kim?
Of course. I've been in roles where I had to look at different proposals, and I had to go out there and research the website, look at how many success stories, what events that they put on, testimonies and services and all of these good things, right? And sometimes that's what makes the difference in A, getting the funding versus B, getting the funding, or C, getting a portion of it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking at. It's all about factual information. Yeah, you can blurb or whatever you put in there, but I need to see some evidence. I need to see what you did, how you did it, and I need to see success stories, period. Yeah, there's some counties out there that get more funding based upon their region and what they've done. I've heard stories about that there's one county in North Carolina, they can't get any more funding from this particular place because they always get it. Like, why? Why are they always getting this funding? It's because, maybe low income. It's no other programs there, but they probably exhausted that funding stream. So where do you go next? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you really have to think outside the box, so to speak, not just saying, oh yeah, guaranteeing yourself that you're going to get this grant, because that's not always the case. You definitely have to be resourceful. Look at what you're putting out there, what you can bring in. And of course, the fundraising part is a part of that. I think nonprofits really operate off of what we call fundraising and donations. And it's because we rely so heavily on the general public to see our mission, to say, okay, this is what you're doing. And so once that message is put out to the public to say, oh, this is what we're doing, and they see the evidence of it, that's where you get more funding from, in my opinion. So we just got to be good stewardess of doing what we say we're going to do and recording it and documenting it. So at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, that's what it's going to take.
Recording it and documenting it, I think that's important. I've been with some organizations that they're recording and documenting.
Mhm.
It's not been accurate because it was skewed in order to get the funding. You know,
And
we need 13 people in here, so we're gonna find 13 people.
Yeah, and to me, I'll be honest, you're lying. You're just being a bald-faced liar.
Wait, ma'am, we can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. But hey, this show is different people, different perspectives, and my perspective is you're a liar. If you're not doing what you're supposed, if you're not doing what you say you said you was going to do not fabricate anything on paper, because I guarantee you it's going to come back to bite you. It always does.
Make a note. Do not put Kim on the board.
Karma is, you know what, but I'm just saying, always do the right thing. And that's where you see a lot of nonprofits as well have that integrity in their core values. And I'm telling you, but if you're going to do right by people, do right by yourself and your organization.
Don't get them, Kim. Hey.
I'm just saying, you got to do it right. You got to treat people right. And you got to make sure that those values are aligned with your mission and your vision. I'm just saying.
Well, you hit on a key thing that's really important to me, and I don't want to suck the air out of the room because you know I will. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I got to say, Mr. Gray, that's who you got working for you. She's a beast. The first day Kim and I talked, man, I'm like, yo, we're going to be friends forever. That's my cousin right there. That's my play cousin right there. But this is where I'm going to go back to what you're saying. This is where the people, and Winfred was saying, and all of us are saying, the community has to get together. We need to raise our standards.
Yes.
We need to raise our standards as a community and say, this is what we're looking for as a base. We want you to be able to sustain yourself. We need you to sustain yourself. I agree with Winfred. Yeah, you might get mad because, like, why don't you just give it to me? I wish a friend of mine was on here. She keeps saying she will be on here, but she's got to get the right lighting. As soon as I say that, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. I have to have the right lighting, Robinson. Once I find the right lighting. But anyway, you've got people out there that are helping other people in order to help themselves. We got to have that standard. Going back to what Winfred said, as far as having that testing, making sure it's accountable, sustainability, it has to be there. I don't hear that in a lot of the narratives that are out there. The narratives that I hear when I sit back and I'm going, okay, I did hear it one time, and kudos to them. And I want to say their names. It was, come on, John, don't suck up the time now. And they talked about sustainability. Inasmuch, he came out and he says, hey, the one thing about helping these people when it comes down to homelessness and having affordable housing and everything, is able to put them in a situation where they can self-sustain themselves. It's self-sustainable. Because here's the thing. We put some people in a hotel room, they ain't got to feed them. And if you're doing all these things for me, I'll be honest, Kim, why should I even get up? Mr. Gray, why should I even get up? Winfred, why should I get up? You want to take a test? The powers that be might come out and say, if not enough people pass your test, Winfred, you're not going to get funding. So what do you do then?
Yeah, that's when, because that's when you grab the community together, man, and we can make one big festive happy union when a lot of people get together and do these things to help these people out. But you know, some of these nonprofit are self-serving. They look to serve themselves, and then I ask you, Kim, does when you guys apply for your grant and everything, do they look at the body of the organization or how many members you got helping out, or the resources that you guys got in order before I can hand you all this funding, I need to make sure that you're able to make that stretch that dollar, make it go a long way. So I asked you that question.
Well, like I said, we are very new, but I have worked with other organizations that we did look at the bottom line. We look at the staff, we look at the resources, we look at the things that they've done within the community to be able to say, yes, I'm going to vet for this person, or I'm going to recommend this person for this particular grant. It's not solely up to me to make the executive decision to say, hey, yeah, just give it to them. Yeah, no, it's definitely layers to how quickly that funding can be released. But with Chosen Resource Center, our goal is to make sure that we're helping those and also maintaining their self-sufficiency as well, in education and empowerment. As you can see here, we're connecting people to hope, help, and resources. Y'all see that? That is our slogan.
That's what we call a plug.
You better know it. So, being hopeful that if we do give them the educational tools and allowing them to make executive decisions, understanding what the pros and cons of if I go this way or go that way, we're hopeful for that to make sure that they're able to work on their own and still, be able to carry the weight along the way by themselves. We want to connect them, of course, to resources. And resources is just what it is. It's a resource, not to be used on a every single day basis. This is a resource, not this is I'm your mama, I'm your daddy. No, that's not what it is. And I don't want to allow someone to be stagnant. And there's another term. You think about the Erickson theory, right? Stagnation versus not being stagnant, growth versus, it's all a working mechanism when it comes down to that. Growth is you're supposed to learn new things, have wisdom to pass down to other generations. And that's where, of course, the generation curse things comes in, right? You maybe have born in poverty. You want to try to escape poverty and find a way out. Where, the example is, well, go to school. This is what you do. Pick up a trade. This is how you're going to be able to make money. There's always different pathways on how you can realign yourself accordingly to get back on the right track and for you to maintain the self-sufficiency, in my opinion. I think Angel has a great opportunity, her being a peer support specialist, looking at other perspectives and hearing how this person was a little similar but different and how they were able to get back on track. Everybody's not going to be on the same wavelength, so that's where you have the ultimate goal and you have these different objectives for you to have to change out them periodically just to meet the end result. For example, me going to school, it took me over 18 years to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. But hey, I stayed on that train, you know what I'm saying? And here I am. But like I said, the resources is not to be used on an everyday basis. It's just there for certain what we call humps in the road, and valleys, that you have to climb out of. So that's what we're here for as a Chosen Resource Center. Me and Mr. Gray, like I said, we're hopeful that folks will take the time out to relearn themselves. I think it has a lot to relearning themselves as well. People do know that, you change on an everyday basis. Things change every day, and so should you. So I'm just going to leave it at that point.
I like it when you dig in. I like it when you dig in because some people are learning to live in those dips and valleys.
Yeah.
They are homesteading in there and they are comfortable in there.
Yeah.
And when like I said, Mr. Gray, that's kiln. That's just what you got. That's awesome. We're going out to the prison on a regular basis. I'm going to make sure that we connect. And for those people that are in the area that you service, I'm going to make sure that they connect with you. Because one of the things that we go out there and we do is boost the self-efficacy.
Okay.
Because right now, it is not so much the nonprofits that are out there that are doing the bad. It is society in itself. We're taking the easy route. Even for organizations to exist, we take the easy route. I've seen organizations, instead of holding their participants accountable, they're like, look, don't forget. This is, I'm not going to call names. Don't forget. Our KPI has to be a certain level in order for us to maintain a contract, in order for us to go ahead and maintain funding. So make it so. Make it so. And you're pushing people through. Same thing with the school systems. So it comes back to what Tim was saying. We the people have accepted this. We have set the standard and said that this is how we're going to do things. And it's great because we've learned to live in those dips and valleys. So as a community, we have to come out and say, hey, look, no, this is the minimum that we'll accept. You must be able to sustain yourself. As an adult, you want to be able to sustain yourself. As Kim was saying before, the government or these organizations should not become your new mom and dad. You know, because what you're doing is you're robbing resources from people that really, really need it. That really need it. And our goal, as far as growth source, when it comes down to what we're working on, is to go ahead and weed out those people. I don't want to be involved in any type of grant, because what it does, in my opinion, what it does, it impedes your growth. Because what happens is you've got these other entities on top of you, and they're wanting results by any means. Taking advantage of free enterprise and capitalism, we're able to go in and do the things that your organization may not want to do. Know they need to do it, but not want to do it. Because sometimes you got to do exactly what Kim just did. You a liar. You know what I'm saying? That sounds bad, but you a liar. You are lying. That is not true. That is not right. You know what I'm saying? This is what needs to happen. And we've grown accustomed to being in that zone where it's like there is no lie. Your reality is different from everyone else's reality, and this is what it is. And say whatever you need to say so I can go ahead and progress. So get those people through and make sure those KPIs are not accurate, but make sure that they put us in a situation where we will receive our funding, or our funding is not in danger. That's where we want to come in as growth source to say, hey, look, for those that want to do what they need to do, and if you need someone else to come out there and say, look, motivate and inspire these people. It's not about chastising anyone. You know, it's about holding them accountable. And that's the one thing that a lot of people are scared to do today, because when you hold somebody accountable, you're saying that you're taking away something from them. Because when you guys come out and you have that test like Winfrey was talking about, you have to go through these courses. Well, I can't read, and I don't want to learn to read. Feed me. You know, and working for the powers that be that I worked for before, you had me for 10 years. I've been incarcerated for 10 years. You had me for 10 years. You had my undivided attention. And this is what I say in the prison. You had the undivided attention. You had me for 10 years, morning, noon, and night. You controlled my movement. And I was in it for 10 years. And I walked out of there, still couldn't read, don't have an ID, and I just don't have it. I'm looking for resources. It's like, well, wait a minute. If you ever do these reentry simulations,
yes,
I say in those reentry simulations, for the powers that be, you're telling on yourself. You're telling on yourself. You give me a card and it says, hey, John, you was in jail for 10 years for whatever. You got no ID. You got nothing. Hey, wait a minute. I'm supposed to have these things before I get out. You tell on yourself, and then you give me $2 or whatever, and and you're showing the public how hard it is for this person to reenter. The organizations you're telling on not the organizations, but the powers that be, you're telling on yourself. Because you had me for 10 years. 10 years is a long time. And a lot of things have changed. And then you let me out. And now I'm supposed to go do something great. And while I was in there, this is what I'm sucking the air out. This is what I want to get to. While I was in there, the powers that be, in my opinion, in order to maintain a favorable numbers or favorable whatever, whenever it comes to election or whatever it is, they done wrong by you. They done wrong by you. They let you skate through. They let you take programs for the numbers. You know what I'm saying? They didn't hire strong. They've got people in there that just like, hey, you are the lowest part of society. No one really cares, because there is no Yelp rating for anybody who's in a a lower level. No one really cares what you think. So if you didn't get it, so what? And as a society, we need to go ahead and say, what do we want to be? This is my goal, is to go ahead and create that awareness, create that self-efficacy within the individuals, because some will. You remember Winfred? Some will,
some will,
some won't. Got to keep it moving.
Got to keep it moving.
It goes back against Sergeant Major. Triage. Yo, my man right there ain't going to make it. You spend so much time on this cat right here. My man over here has a high possibility of making it. Read my man his last rites, make him as comfortable as you can. Let's go over here and save this other guy. It sounds horrible in the real world, but someone has to do it in order for things to maintain its standard. And I appreciate Chosen Resources, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do everything I can. Like I said, when I go out to the prison, it'll be the first Friday. I'm going to get with you, Mr. Gray, to get the information. And for those people in the area, we'll make sure that they align with you. And, we also do the thing with the Community Reentry Coalition. I'll make sure that you're in there. And my job, Winfred's job, as Grosso's job, is to go ahead and get that herd moving in the right direction.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what society needs. You remember that. You remember those days. Kim, we used to talk about it. You remember those days when you did something wrong, somebody, when your mama said something? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing?
Honey, she stayed in my ear. I heard it for a whole week.
You know what I'm saying? And we got to get back to them old school things and start selling not ease, but selling that self-accountability, that self-worth, and that efficacy. Because, the place we're losing it the most is in schools. We're breeding this stuff, and it's like there's not enough nonprofits to combat what's going on. We got to start with the next generation. We've got to go ahead and change their programming, because this capitalistic society, and I'm not saying capitalism is bad, but what we've done is we've put that dollar out there and everyone's chasing it with no standard.
Exactly.
No standard. The only thing I regret is I can't get an OnlyFans page because I just ain't good looking enough. I mean, but if I could. No, you got to have that self-respect. These things have to be put in from early. And what's being put out there now is, hey, by any means. And by any means even means take it if it's free. That needs been met. It's free. I lose my self-efficacy. I cannot go up to the next level because I know nothing of accountability. I'm eating and I'm sitting down, and you know what? And there's a reason why America is so fat. And it's a great country. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't go anywhere else. But as society, as citizens, this is what I feel my job will be. And I've got Angel that works with me. I've got Winfred that works with me, and a few others. And what we're doing is promoting that self-efficacy. And knowing that you do the same thing, Mr. Shaw, I'm not Mr. Shaw, but Mr. Gray, because you got it, Kim Shaw right in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Gray, knowing that you do this is refreshing, and it just energizes me. So when we meet, I can't wait to be able to say, look, I'm going to put you in good hands. I'm going to put you in good hands. Now this has been going for a while because Kim, because we're going to talk about Chosen Resources here for a little bit. You were talking about this a couple of years back, weren't you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, re-entry was a very hot commodity. And of course, with the re-entry 2030 that we have in North Carolina, I think it's going to be a very big impact and what the outcome will be. We're starting to see it already in the prison system, where offenders are also being able to be plugged to our NC Works Department of Commerce through the NC Jet program. And so it's in working. It's in working hands. I can say that. And I do believe that they will have a very good success with it. However, there are going to still be gaps based off my observation. Okay. I have seen and witnessed where things can be very much improved, and I've voiced those opinions. However, I'm only the smallest thing on the totem pole at this point. And I don't say that I know everything because I have a lot to learn. However, I do know when there is a big issue and a big pile of, you know what, getting to be stepped on and somebody needs to clean it up. So I try to be the cleanup woman, right? And um put that little tidbit in somebody's ear before it comes down. But like I said, with NC Jet, the offenders are looking at how they can, for those that are working in correction enterprise, how they can look for employers that are looking for their skill sets. For example, those that are working in the tag plant there in, where was it? Nash, I believe. They make all the license tags for North Carolina. And so those group of ladies, there are a few who are getting out post, getting ready to be released. And I believe Mr. Gray can speak to this. After 120 days of prior to them being released back into society, they're supposed to be registering on NC Works and, you know, looking at their resumes and things of that nature so they can be placed with an employer. But it takes somebody for them to navigate that particular system. And I can speak to that as well, you know, working previously in the NC Works career centers. NC Works may not be the best friend. Speaking back to what Mr. Gray was saying, somebody may have been serving 10, 20 years and just so obsolete when it comes down to their computer skills. So there you're going to have to re-educate that person, or not even re-educate, educate that person on how to utilize that particular resource or tool. Just because there's a toolbox and you assume that you know what a Phillips screwdriver is or a flathead screwdriver is, not everybody knows that information. And so you have that, like I said, it goes back to re-educating or educating that person to say, hey, this is what this is. This is how you're supposed to use it. Okay. And it's going to take a couple of times for it to really set in, for you to have that muscle memory to go back and say, hey, I got this. Right. Just how we went through 12 grades of high school. I'm sure all of us have. You know, it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? We had assessments, we had tests, and it's going to take that for them to show the proficiency that they need to be able to ensure that they have that competency level that they're looking for. So I say this, take it back to the old school, just like you said, John and Winford, and you just got to take it back to the old school for them to really gravitate and say, oh yeah, I got it now. And whenever they get that I got it moment or that aha moment, I always said that it's the aha moment that just makes it more worthwhile for not only the client but also you as the teacher as well. So we're going to have to continue to be teachers, and just pour into people as much as we can. And like I said, sometimes it does get frustrated, and you know, our patients are wearing thin, but you have to know and hold yourself accountable when you know it's too much, and possibly even pass that baton off to somebody else that may be a little bit more patient than you are, but we're still keeping them in the cycle. And that's not enabling them, that's to help them and hold them more accountable. Maybe you may not have been the resource at that time or the organization to make that happen, but someone down the line will definitely be able to get that spark going. And then you can see the fruits of your labor. Yes, I had a hand in that. And that's just really that all it really matters and boils down to at this point. I made a difference somehow, however small or however big.
Yeah, doing her part, boy. She's definitely always doing your part.
That's
You
right.
know, and that's the thing. Because next week, what we're going to talk about is America. Our culture is our culture becoming one of entitlement and complacency, because it's a business model. Make everything easy. Think about it. Years ago, to eat, you had to go hunt or plant something. Now you just got to ask 39 cents to supersize. Would you like that supersize, Mr. Robinson? You know what I'm saying? Because I have no skills. I have no skills in putting things together. I don't even know where hamburger meat comes from. You know, this is where we are today. I don't even know where hamburger meat comes from. All I know is I want 2 patties and a number 3 or whatever it is. I don't know where the lettuce comes from or what it looks like or whatever. And we've got to go back and as a society and go, hey, some of the basic things. I'm not saying we have to go turn the lights off, but we owe it to ourselves to make sure that the next generation is ready for whatever comes in order to keep things going. That's the part that I go ahead and pledge to do my part, is building self-efficacy and accountability within self. The programs that you have, I commit to filling them with people that want to be there and be that accountability partner. You know, that's part of the audit You saw
Yeah.
that. There's an accountability partner. You got to have an accountability partner. We want to be that accountability partner for people out there. With that being said, one of our accountability partners, I would say, is like Angel Fuller. She hadn't said much this evening, so I'm going to make her say something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Mr. Robinson, I unmuted, started talking, and you ran right over the top of me, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, you need to pick it up, lady. Pick it up.
Anyway, we'll all do our part. We'll see what we can do next week.
All right. All right. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Mhm.
But, you know, excuse me, because I'm going to walk like a giant, even though I'm small. You know?
I know
So,
you do.
with that being said, I commit to going ahead and pushing those people towards chosen resources so you can find those resources so you can help them out. I commit to making sure the CRC, which is the Community Reentry Council, understands what chosen resources do, and make sure you're part of that, and that we're going to do everything we can to go ahead and make it what happens on the reentry side, because it affects everyone. Everyone, because to me, it's not about reentry. You know, it's not about reentry. It's about, like I think Kim said it best. It's about yourself. It's about yourself. It's about bettering yourself. It's about doing your part to go ahead and touch another person and raise them up, because that's what makes society better. With that, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna give it to my main man, Winfrey.
Hey, we just got to look to change behaviors to create new ones. And then when we look at everything that's going on in today's society, man, we just got to make sure that we're doing everything we can in order to teach these individuals to grow and to be better part of themselves. And that's all a part about being self-efficacy, is starting at the bottom and going to the top. But we have to put in the work, and it's hard sometimes when we think that we putting in the work, and we look to the left, we look to the right, and there's nobody right there beside us helping us put in that work. And then I always advocate towards bringing organizations together to do bigger and better things, and just to do the menial part, just to satisfy the needs of the grant certification. So we just got to just make sure that we're doing what we can in order to move people forward and grow them, so that way that we can be grown. We don't grow no more. We know Big Mama is not here anymore. As the put us in the right direction, and to keep us going on. So we have to do everything we can in order to, because there's too many distractions that's out there, and everybody's getting distracted about something or another, and the economy is what it is, but we always want to make that money, so that way we can be satisfied with what's going on, and we're missing the true tale of it all. So we just I just say, start with changing their behaviors and creating new ones, long-lasting behaviors that will grow and nurture them, and help them move forward, so the way they can turn around and help somebody else.
That's what I'm talking about. And I'd like to end, with you, Mr. Gray, and let us know a little bit more about that Chosen Resource Center, and help me go ahead and push towards fulfilling the mission that you have. I want to be able to help you fulfill that mission.
All right, and the mission of Chosen Resource Center, I'll say it's about integrity and accountability. We got to have integrity and accountability, not only as nonprofit organizations, but as the people that we're trying to help has to have that same integrity and accountability among one another, that we're doing the right thing. And with Chosen Resource Center, we just want to bring those resources together so that we are able to help people move forward, help people to be greater people, and do what they need to do to move their lives in the right direction. And it's about training, and I think, and follow up. And a lot of it, that's the piece that we're missing, that we want to do. Not only that we want to teach them how to have food, how to get jobs, how to read, whatever it is. But once the training is done, it's following up with them and making sure they follow through on what they need to do to carry on in life. And it's one person at a time. Sometimes it's one individual at a time. We're working with. We're not an organization that say, hey, we're just going to hand out food and we're going to keep people in that cycle going through. we want to give them the resources that they need. And that's with joining the community, trying to bring the community together to do that. I might not have the resource and you may not have the right resource, but this guy over here does. And if we're all working together, I can point that person in the right direction to get the help he needs. Because like you said, I might not have enough resources to handle this situation. But if we're a community, I know a resource out there that does. And I can point them in that. One individual may need 3, 4 resources to get to where they're going. But he needs guidance and somebody to walk him through. And that's what we want to do at Chosen Resource to walk him through so that he can get to where he's going so he can move on his own. And eventually at the end, hopefully not to see him again in that same location the next time.
That's it. Make everyone a success. Try and make an attempt to make everyone we touch a success story. Attempt.
Yes, sir.
You know, an attempt. And I appreciate everything you do. Next week, we're going to talk about our culture because what we do things. Because I think Kim laid on to something. We got to learn that we can't live in that pit. Or in that, but we got to move up. And we're going to do that. So everyone here is doing their part. And I love that. With that, I'm going to say good night, unless someone else has something else they want to share. With that, I'm going to say good night. I hope to see you again. Mr. Gray, Kim,
Yes.
let's coordinate so we can meet, do lunch, breakfast, whatever you like, so we can go ahead and get this ball rolling because I'm going to be out the prison next Friday. So I want to make sure I touch base with you before I head out that way.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. See
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night.